You're here, so you've tuned into Joe's Music Something. Well, I know it's a bit confusing, so let's learn something about music. Joe's Music Something. We'll learn about the notes, chords, beats, sound, but almost getting out of bounds. It's Joe's Music Something. From Baltimore County Public Library.
Last time on Joe's Music Something.
While woodwinds are all played similarly, the way they make sound differs, which splits them into two distinct groups, flutes and reeds. Woodwinds are typically long, slender instruments that we blow into in order to make sounds. While the part of the instrument we blow on is different depending on what we're playing, the way sound is made is relatively the same. So when we play the instrument, we blow air into it, right? That air then vibrates inside the instrument, creating notes from these noodly dudes we call waves. When we blow across the opening of any of these instruments, the air flips between going into the instrument and blowing over the top of the hole very, very quickly, which creates the noodly waves and therefore sound.
Now, on to the show.
Reeds! The first time we see reed instruments is quite a bit later than flutes. Around 5,000 years ago, on art we see in ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt, better known in the modern day as Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Kuwait, and, well, Egypt. However, most of the reed instruments we use in a modern Eurocentric orchestra were developed in the 16 and 1700s, about 300 to 400 years ago. Reed instruments are named as such because instead of having the air alternate by blowing across a hole, we cut and shape reed from a cane plant into a thin piece, which then buzzes as we blow on it. This leads to our distinction between single reed and double reed instruments. Single reed instruments use something called a mouthpiece, which holds the reed in place with this thing called a ligature, and is then placed on the end of the instrument we blow on. No, the other end.
Permission to dock requested.
Permission granted.
The most common instruments we see played like this include the saxophone, which was created by Adolph Sax in the 1840s, which is why it was never made out of wood, and the clarinet, but have many counterparts across the world, like the West Asian mijwiz and the Turkish sipsi. Double reed instruments use two reeds because they're too rad for just one reed. Just kidding, it just gives the instrument a different, buzzier sound. To get a double reed, you basically take cane, shave it down, and cut it a little differently than a single reed, and fold it over. Most professional musicians make their own double reeds, so I tried to make one myself. The double reed instruments we most commonly see are the oboe and the bassoon, but also include the West African alhaita and the Scottish bagpipes, which uses secret reeds, like here, and here, and even here. There are even instruments that use more. Some use quadruple reeds, which are basically just doubled over double reeds, producing an even more buzzy sound, giving those bees a real run for their honey. These instruments include the Indian Shehnai and the Thai Pianai. See, here's where I'd usually perform a song, but nothing rhymes with embouchure, so naturally I'm at a loss. But here's a little something from each category of instrument we talked about. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the eponymous flute. Next, the zamponia. And then the single reed clarinet. And finally, the double reed bassoon. Well, that's it. I hope you learned something about music. And if you didn't, I hope you learned something about yourself and your taste in children's educational programming. Next time, we'll be talking about brass instruments. But until then, this has been Joe's Music Something. Thanks again for watching. For more resources, check out bcpl.info.